Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks, episode 194. We're a podcast that talks about pop culture, things that interest us. And sometimes there's whiskey. My name is John. I'm joined, as always, by Andrea. How's it going?
Very good. It's been a good Sunday and a good weekend. So, yeah. Can't complain.
Good Sunday. So that's the Packers thing.
What up?
Yeah. Okay.
Division leaders.
Who are they
you can't cry
today?
too much.
Did they play?
The Bears. We beat the Bears to become division leaders today. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I've been rooting for the Bears.
They're definitely still like, I don't know, 99% going to make the playoffs unless they totally tank it in the last home stretch here. But yeah, I don't think you can be too mad since the Vikings just dominated the Commanders today. They absolutely
Who did?
crushed.
Sorry, you broke up on my end.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The Vikings just dominated the Commanders today.
Oh, okay.
It was an absolute embarrassment of a game for Washington.
Interesting. All right. Well, yay for everybody then, I guess, involved here. That's your sports ball talk for the week. But other sorts of talk we do in the day.
I can promise to stay out of like official sports ball, but I can't promise about metaphors.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
If that's fair.
That's fine. Fair enough. Today, we're going to talk about a movie that felt like we should have talked about during Halloween, but it kind of didn't come out in time really for Halloween. It was a limited release in theaters, I think, for Halloween. And then it came out after Halloween on Netflix.
Yes.
And funny, we're talking about a Netflix movie tonight, given they might be what like the all dominating whatever media service, IP holder, whatever, pretty soon. If they end up, if the deal goes through to purchase WB Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery. So we'll talk about that probably.
They'll dominate that
when it, if that does for sure go through all the way. But interesting stuff. Anyways, yeah, Frankenstein, one of their offerings from Guillermo del Toro that came out this year. Obviously, we know the story of Frankenstein, but it's Guillermo del Toro's vision of it. Kind of a big cast and long movie, high production value. So we'll get into that tonight in spoilerific detail. Before that, we'll talk about what else we've been up to since we've been gone, because last week, in case you missed it, was our anime show. And so make sure you like, share, and subscribe in all the applicable places here on Popcast on the Rocks, Ohio Anime page on YouTube, all that sort of thing. But Andrea, why don't we kick it off with what we should be drinking?
Absolutely. So, I know we've been kind of trying to do a thing where we've been looking forward and not back. And I just remembered that afterwards, mostly because we were supposed to do this show on Tuesday and then I got sick. Joy. Happy holidays to everybody. 'Tis the season. 'Tis the real season. Forget Thanksgiving and Christmas. Sickness is the real season in December. So yeah, but apologies for that. We're just going to recap 2 days because I think the next holiday actually isn't until about the 14th, which is quite a ways away. So that'll be kind
until
of
when?
Odd. Until the 14th, I think, is the next drinks holiday.
Oh, okay.
Right? Okay. It's a little farther out than I would have expected for like the party month of December, you know? Let me double check that to make sure I'm correct. But if you are, nostalgic for days of yore, the 4th was Cabernet Franc Day. And then the 5th is a happy day because it is both Repeal Day, which is the end of Prohibition and the United States experiment with that did not last very long. And it's also a great day because it's National Bartender Day, which, I always gotta have my annual reminder that I was once in the service, as it were.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
So,
Well, that
plus
makes
those are
things
like
pretty
fun general
open-ended.
holidays. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're very general. You can do what you want with them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So I'm
what'd you go with
still,
tonight then? Former bartender
yeah,
Andrea.
not till the 14th with National Screwdriver Day. Do we have another holiday? So,
Okay. All right.
but if you're
Nice.
looking ahead, breakfast time, brunch time, party time, that's what you can celebrate.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, what type of party time you got going tonight?
Yes, yeah. So I'm finally kind of in the Christmas holiday spirit. We went and got our Christmas tree today. The girls like decorated gingerbread cookies. I went to a Christmas market this past Saturday. Um, so yeah, so I'm just kind of like feeling the general holiday spirit. So I have a holiday type drink.
Nice.
I have a cranberry gin fizz.
Okay. Very
Yes,
nice. Is that okay? That sounds very refreshing. Perfect.
it is very refreshing.
You have fresh cranberries in there, or are they frozen?
I do have fresh cranberries. Yes.
Oh
I don't know.
man.
Can't kind of see him play a little game. Yep, there they
Okay.
are. But they are fresh.
Play a game of how far can I tip this and not
Exactly.
obliterate my keyboard. Yeah.
Exactly. Such a fun little risky game.
Hmm. Very nice. Well, I'm also in the holiday spirit, and
Mhm.
I got some new coupe glasses, and so I'm using one of those tonight.
Ooh,
It's
very
they're
fancy.
kind of vintage green sort of looking,
Yeah. Very
um,
cool.
and they were just on clearance, so picked them up, liked the shape and color of them.
Yeah.
But I have an eggnog drink, so I
Nice.
have um, rum, Kraken rum, an egg
Mhm.
white, cinnamon, and Kowalski's. The eggnog you get at
Yes.
Kowalski's. So,
Yes.
hmm
Cheers.
cheers. Good stuff. Decadent kind of drink tonight. So,
Indeed.
okay. Well, speaking of holidays, um, looks like you've probably been engaging in some holiday content as well this past week, huh? I mean, you mentioned obviously the real world things, holiday,
Yes.
Christmas market, that sort of thing. But how about television, movies, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I'm finally into, accepting of the Christmas tide season and watching Holiday Baking Championship, which as you had mentioned before does encompass more than just Christmas, but, powered
Yeah.
through some of it to watch to get to Christmas stuff as well.
Okay.
Um and then, I do think of the Christmas season when I think of James Bond now because of you. Um, so I restarted Goldfinger because that's what we had been reading as we kind of like left off some of our Bond content. So I felt in the Christmas spirit. I drank the eggnog that you sent us. We got some bourbon to put in it and drank that and was reading the other day and felt, very in the Yuletide cheer.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. So you restarted Goldfinger. How were you pretty far, or so this is a really,
uh,
or you weren't that
I
far maybe?
I
And
I think I was like halfway into Goldfinger, but I just
okay.
felt like I needed the recap.
Okay.
I mean, even
Yep.
though I know the story, I just, sometimes the books get so different and I wanted like a refresher on the way that Fleming writes and the way
Mm,
that he portrays Book Bond, which is like a different vibe. So, yeah, I just was like, what the heck? I'll start over.
okay. Perfect. Very good.
Um, yeah, and then speaking of things that, I needed a refresher on, and also things that, probably should have been talked about during the Halloween season, but couldn't have been. Chris and I sat
Yeah.
down to watch Stranger Things season 5, episode 1. And we watched
Okay.
all season recaps, not just season 4's. We watched all the season recaps before because it been so long, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
I remember like the general arc and some of the
Right.
character development, major milestones, but yeah, there were still things that watching the recaps was like, oh yeah, that thing, that's where that
Right.
character, you know. So yeah, so that was pretty fun that we got to sit down and start the semi movie that is each Stranger Things episode.
Yeah. Okay. First impression. I mean, I know it's only episode 1, but do you like the direction it seems to be heading? And
Yeah, I they were a little exposition-y and lacking some of the punch of the really great episodes, but I understand because God, it had been so long and they really needed to set up where everybody was now. And what happened after kind of like our huge cliffhanger of season 4 ending. So I get it. I do think most of the setup was good. Some of it was a little clunky, but I expect that to resolve going forward.
okay. All right. Yeah, I still, time just did it for me. I still haven't watched the last season. So,
Of season 4 of Stranger Things.
yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely not anything to skip ahead. Like you will not
Yeah, right.
get
I'm sure.
anything.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, season 4 is really good though. I was also skeptical when it started,
Hmm.
and then it ended up being a lot better than I expected.
Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, the time gaps are tough, but if
They
they
are.
can make it work in story and ultimately they get the show out that they want, it'll be
Mhm.
better off in the long run to have this long, running thing of they rush something or whatever. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's funny because the actors are now officially, I think, a decade older than when they started.
sure.
And so
Makes
in
sense.
one sense, it is wildly almost unbelievable that they could still be portraying, kids in high school and things like that, because they have changed so much. And
Right.
yet, on the other hand, like they're all very early 20s, like 21 to
Sure.
25, I think, at the oldest. And people so much older have been portraying high school kids, in Hollywood. Like you get
Yeah.
30, 35-year-old actors playing like Hollywood, high school students. And, we somehow find ways to believe that. So, on the one hand, if you look at them
That's
individually, it's difficult. And then on the other hand, if you think about it, they're actually on the young side for, what Hollywood considers able to play high school students.
I I agree with that, except the difference is here we have the before and after. If you watch
Yes.
whatever other
Yes.
movie and it's like,
Agreed.
oh, here's this muscle bound whoever that's a middle schooler or high schooler,
Yes.
okay, whatever. But because we go from, especially if you're watching them in a row and you see them
That's
change,
yes. That's going to be the
it's like,
really difficult part because I haven't gone back and like binged it. So if people go
yeah,
back and like you do that, it is going to be wildly unbelievable. But your mind gets a little fuzzy, after you have been away
right,
for like 2 years and you're sort of like, yeah, sure, like they're still
yeah.
fine. They're still young enough. Um so yeah, it's a weird phenomena.
Hmm. Okay, well, I hope it turns out good. Is this
Mhm.
are they doing like 2 parts? Like split in
They're doing
half like last time
3.
or something?
They're
3,
doing
okay,
3.
alright.
Yes, so I think they're ending the season, I believe, if I remember correctly, with 12 episodes, and they're doing 3 releases of 4,
Okay,
I believe. I could be wrong on the last one, and maybe they're doing a release of 2 at the last, set or something, but I thought that's what I remembered.
okay. Very nice.
Mhm.
Well, that's a good variety of things. I also, I didn't restart Goldfinger, but I did continue it. I was a little worried
Sure.
that I would be lost, but the important beats I felt came back to me. It's like, oh yeah, okay, this. Um,
Sure.
it's a shame that I, like probably should be doing what you're doing, because it's a shame this book has been broken up so much for me, because
Sure.
and I blame it, this one, I don't know, me seeing the movie coming so much, I'm reading it, it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is this part, this is this, but it deviates, it absolutely deviates. It's just,
Yes.
for a while I feel like, um I don't need to read this, for a bit. So, but I'm getting into the swing of it more, um enjoying it more, especially as it deviates. So it's been
Sure.
good. um I watched the F1 movie. So finally,
Oh
that's
yeah.
the Krasinski directed, Brad Pitt
Oh
starring,
yeah. How was
F1.
that?
It was good. Yeah, I liked it. There's a part, we did a trailer breakdown on the channel here with Mike, actual race car driver
Hmm.
Mike, and there's a line in there that he just absolutely can't stand. And like, maybe in context in the movie it's different, or something, we'll
Sure.
see. It's not in different context. So I could not stop, like, hearing him screaming in my brain every time they said, you know we need a car for war, whatever. And so, um, yeah, but it's got a good score. It's a good soundtrack. It's shot really well. I'm a sucker for the way that they can shoot car chases and races and stuff. Now they can position the
Mm.
camera in so many different places and
Hmm.
get this really great footage. So,
Yeah.
it was well done, and they add little character details in there that they don't really explain. They just add them. There's these little, maybe a tick that Brad Pitt's character does, or like habits and stuff. It's an all around good ensemble cast. Dune actor Javier Bardem is in there
Mm. Hmm.
doing No Country for Old Men, all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's good. Recommend. Um, see. Then I've been in the comic book space a lot recently as well, playing the Marvel Rivals game. They released
Hmm.
Gambit in there recently, and Rogue is coming, I think, on Friday or something. So it's going to have, lots of that. I finished up. I don't know if they're going to do more of it now, but I finished issue 12 of Batman Dark Patterns. I've been
Mm.
kind of, talking this book up. And so this
Yeah.
is 12 issues, like a year's worth of issues now or whatever. And I know they're doing a graphic novel collection, I think, of the whole thing this spring. But yeah, no indication that if it's gonna continue. It doesn't seem like it is, at least at this point. So
Okay.
um but it wrapped up well. I would like more of this type of Batman story. Again, it's not particularly sensational or outlandish. It's just
Hmm.
good kind of murder mystery sort of things. And then Ashley and I have been playing the new different expansions to the DC card game by Cryptozoic, and so that's in that same kind of universe. We have been playing the Justice League Dark one, and we just started playing now the Arkham Asylum one. So you play as
Mm.
villains and try to
Sure.
defeat heroes. So
Sure.
um, that's mostly what I've been up to. And then I wanted to bring up one other thing, I guess, quick. Just tonight. So I've never read the Chronicles of Narnia. Um, there was
Interesting.
one of the books. I forget which one it was. We owned as a kid, and the art on it drew me to the book, but it was in the middle of the series, whatever. I never read it, and so I was like, well, this is a good thing for the kids to read at some point. And so
Hmm.
I searched out and found the box set to the only art cover version that I approve of. Like of any version of Narnia I've ever seen done up, I don't like the cover art. I don't like the style of it. Just does not grab me. It's so important to
Sure.
me. And but this did. So just tonight, I read started with the kids the
Oh,
first
nice.
of the
Yeah.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
So um it's the magician's nephew here. We just read chapter 1. So um it's like 17 pages or something like that.
What
And
did they think?
um I don't know. Uh I don't know for sure. They sat pretty good
Okay.
for it. There's a little like some talking or whatever, and so it's not like perfect silence, and but they sat there and didn't complain, and then at the end it kind of recapped like this is what happened or whatever, and then we rocked it and went to bed. So I mean, went pretty
Cool.
good.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
seems successful. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully continue that every night or every other night or something like that. So
Mhm.
we'll see how that goes. But I enjoyed it. The first part, it took me a little at first. Like, do you, I any sort of thing like this, I absolutely read in a British accent, and so sometimes it takes me a little to like tongue to warm up to it, and then
Sure.
get going at the right pace. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
I guess
very fun.
I haven't read, something like this to the girls. But I definitely do voices, accents, especially if something is like the book version of a movie. I tend to do like movie voices, things
Mm,
like that. So, yes, you can definitely like take you a minute to get into things, or when you lose it, you're like, "Oh god, like how do I get this back?" So yeah, I've definitely been there.
yep.
It's
Andrea,
stressful.
you're in the Matrix. You're
I am in the
glitching.
Matrix. I'm glitching. I know. I've been noticing that today.
I don't know if like you wiggle a cable or something, or like
I know. I was
if
thinking that
there's
earlier, but we'll
because
see.
I don't know if Alan is here yet that we can possibly do a leave and come back in. So I
Yeah, I
think
think I
that's
know what the
that's
issue
off the
is.
books right
So
now.
yeah, no, I think I know what the issue is. So we'll give it 5 minutes and see if I do another like Matrix
Okay.
little pop in and out.
Okay.
Either that or I'm gonna have to kill you because now you know the secret of the Matrix.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, that's a series. So I would be uh, completely not opposed to after we finally finish up watching all the Alien movies again.
Hmm.
So the Alien series and the Alien movies, that we go through all the Matrix stuff, Ex- except for the last movie. I don't care. I haven't seen it, but
Oh yeah, there was a 4, wasn't there?
there's a 4.
Goodness. I forgot about that. Genuinely, like fully forgot that that was a
For the
thing.
best, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember us like going through and thinking that was really poorly received. But yeah, now I have to look.
We'd have to do the Matrix, Matrix Reloaded, Matrix, or the Animatrix, and
Right.
then Matrix Revolutions or
Which
Revelations.
I don't think I've seen Animatrix.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
it's
Matrix Resurrections was middling. It's like hovering around 6 out of 10, 60%. You know,
yeah.
not like
No,
horrible, but not
no.
great.
It's something that just never, just a bad idea, just a really bad
Mm.
idea to come back and try
I
to.
I totally get it. I think this was like in the middle of the Keanu Renaissance or the Keanu Sans, as it were.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it was like whole like career resurrection and ironically the Matrix title.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, a great series of films from Keanu Reeves at that time. I think probably barring this.
Yeah.
So I understand why they
And
get
he's
it. I understand why they went for it. But yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh, Keanu Reeves is big right now. Like, let's do this. But
Right.
no,
Let's revive one of his
no.
most famous properties. Totally get it.
Mhm. And I really want to see what I think of Matrix. Well, all of them really. Again, it's been so long. Um, so you let me know if you're, when we got time because we got
Yeah,
lots of Alien to cover yet.
we do.
But
We do.
it's a continuous thing that I think of in the background. Like these are monumental movies that I need to get back to. So,
Indeed. Indeed.
anyways, speaking of a monumental property, Frankenstein, that's been around for
Hmm.
a hot minute and been
Hmm.
been many iterations of. I was pretty
Indeed.
surprised when I heard Guillermo del Toro was going to be doing a film about Frankenstein. Frankenstein.
Herr
I have a
Frankenstein.
friend. Yeah, I have a friend that said he's always like excited for. He's excited for Guillermo del Toro's work at the level of like a 10, but he ends up enjoying it at about a level of a 7. Like every time it's like this is a thing for me. This
That's
is
really
exciting. This
funny.
looks so good. And then you watch it and it's like, yeah, but it's just okay.
Yeah.
Um, so but we'll get into this. Frankenstein 2025, Netflix, Guillermo del Toro. Spoiler warning now. What's your history with Frankenstein, the property? And do you typically like the character, the story? And then we
Yeah.
can move into like, also Guillermo del Toro before we move into like this movie itself.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, as an English major, Frankenstein was something I was introduced to early in lit class. And obviously, being someone who focuses on the Victorian era, was a repeating text that I read. And I've engaged a lot with Mary Shelley's other work, her husband's work, their friend Byron's work. Um, and I even wrote a couple of different papers about like Mary Shelley's work and her husband's, like kind of in concert with each other, which makes sense, of course, if you look at their relationship and then also the story behind the creation of Frankenstein and its publication. Um, because a lot of the literary world gave her husband credit for writing it for quite a while, until he, refuted it finally and was like, no, it's really Mary's work. So yeah, so I have a long history with the text, um, both from an academic and just as a reader, because I really enjoy the story of Frankenstein. It's something that I find easily readable and a story that you can continue to plumb and find new depths and new ideas and, kind of continue to reconsider your opinions of the characters, their situations, the choices they make. And, obviously as a Halloween lover, I don't think you can ever escape
Mm,
either the character or the caricature of Frankenstein's monster,
right,
who is often
right.
mistaken for Frankenstein. Um, so yeah, I have a lot of history with Frankenstein.
Okay, nice. Yeah, Frankenstein's monster could use a different name. Could use an actual name.
Yes,
Because Frankenstein's monster is too long to say. You can say the
Ye-
monster, but that only works
the
if you're
monster, the
talking about it
creature.
already. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it
What
really could use a name.
he gets a name. He's called Adam in a television series that I watched. Penny
Okay.
Dreadful, maybe,
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's a
maybe.
show that I
No.
always wanted to watch more of.
Oh man, it's gonna drive me bananas.
Well, even that's the
Because of
case,
course,
look out for Adam.
I
Here
know,
comes
right?
the terrifying Adam. It's just
Um, yeah. What is
because
that?
all Universal stuff, you had the Mummy, you have the, you know, the Wolf Man, Invisible Man, the Phantom. I guess the creature from the Black Lagoon is a bit long, but
Right.
that's just the creature, I guess. But
Let me
yeah,
see.
it's okay. I just think that I understand people's mix up, and saying Frankenstein's monster every time is
Right.
tiring.
Well, and I think what's also interesting is that there's a lot of debate over who is the real monster of the novel, and
Right.
you could easily say it's Frankenstein and be referring to him because he is the
Sure.
monster, or could be in your opinion. But like obviously you have to talk about these two different like entities at some point. So it is like very apt to be referring to Frankenstein as a monster, but it's not who people
Right.
think of. They think
Yeah.
of the
The
creature that
intent.
he made.
Yeah.
Oh, Proteus. Proteus is what he's called, and then they
Okay.
call him like John Clare. When they pretend for a while that like he could totally be super normal and go out amongst society, which actually in
Mm,
that show he really doesn't look that bad.
okay.
Even in this interpretation of Frankenstein, I don't think Guillermo del Toro makes him, the big lumbering green guy with bolts in his neck
Right.
that, many people kind of like iconically recognize. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, in Penny Dreadful, he's even less scarred and, you know, noticeably different.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a good
Okay.
take
So
for anyone who
now,
hasn't watched that show.
all right. All right. Yeah. I've only seen a little bit of it. Um, but I know Eva Green's in there. So it's like, could watch it for some Eva Green. Isn't also
Mhm.
Josh Hartnett, right? He's in there.
He is, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. hmm So,
Yes.
um,
Another big name is in there. Like I want to say maybe Billy Piper's in there for a little bit.
oh, that sounds right. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, is that I maybe have seen a couple of those episodes with her. She's a prostitute.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
hmm
Yeah.
Yep. Forgot about that. Forgot that was that show. That
Lily.
was yeah.
Yes. Yep. Lily. Yep. Mm-hmm. Or like, yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So, how about now Guillermo del Toro? Like, if you been a fan of his works before and that sort of thing, you watched a lot of it, or
Yeah,
did
definitely
his name
familiar with his
attachment to this
work.
mean something?
I mean, yes, in the sense of like I knew the mood that was going to be set and the world that was going to be created. Um, I think, like his preference for the gothic romance is pretty
Mm,
apparent in so many of his films, and so they have a very distinct personality, and I love the care that he puts into his world building. Um, so yeah, so I mean that part was particularly exciting to me because Frankenstein is and has such rich potential for world building. But you do have to get a right cast and a right story. So I anticipated this would be good,
yeah.
but yeah.
Okay.
And this definitely like
All right.
story fits with his interests.
Right. Um. Okay. Yeah. I like Guillermo del Toro because when I listen to him talk about things, I like the way that he thinks about horror. He's really, I went to a Guillermo del Toro exhibit in the Twin Cities that was, like
Right.
things from his
Right.
collection,
Yes. I remember
art
this
and
now.
sketches and sculptures and all this sort of thing. It was really cool. So I'm
Hmm.
really a fan of his, care for the genre,
Hmm.
and I like that a lot. And there's style elements that I appreciate. I think that I think I enjoy the Hellboy movies. They're weird,
Yes.
and it's been a long time since I've seen them, but the second Hellboy for sure is actually a really good film. Um, and then Pan's
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
Yeah, of
Pan's
course.
Labyrinth
Classic.
is, I mean, I hum that lullaby to my kids all the time.
Mhm.
So that movie is one that's really stuck with me. And then, and then it gets hazier, like there's something, The Shape of Water or something like that. I never
Yeah.
really watched that one. There was a set of movie or shorts kind of on Netflix I never really got into that he
Mhm.
did. Cabinet of Curiosities, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
Correct.
so there's a number of things, but my oh no, are you
Oh,
still
I've
there,
gone
Andrea?
completely.
Yeah. Well, we're where we are now, so you have the opportunity to reset or whatever you need to
Yeah.
do. Because right now I'm
Odd.
just there on the infinite.
I know. You're infinite Johns, infinite loop Johns. Yeah.
I'll filibuster if you wanna. Oh, okay. Did you do anything or you just like came
Nope.
back? No? Okay. All right. We'll see. Um So yeah, Guillermo del Toro, I don't know. Mixed bag for me. There's a lot of things I'm interested in. Oh, Crimson Peak, I enjoyed
Yes.
quite a bit. A lot for the
Yeah.
look. Uh,
I think Crimson Peak
so
is interesting to mention, especially because I feel like a lot of that movie and this movie had similar landscape, set design, some similar
mm,
storytelling elements, but mostly just like a lot of, you know, the tower that Frankenstein builds his creation in was super reminiscent of like the crumbling old, you know, mansion
yep.
slash factory of Crimson Peak. So like there was a little bit of crossover there. And definitely I think some relationship crossover as well, where like Del Toro has similar ideas about relationships and their levels of appropriateness versus inappropriateness between brothers, sisters, almost
Mm.
brothers and sisters, love interests. Definitely like
I don't.
similar looks for his main female protagonists, I think. So not definitely not like direct, I'm not
Mhm.
trying to say like everything is like directly correlational, but there was just like I'm getting a lot of callbacks to Crimson Peak in
Okay,
certain moments.
I could use a refresher on it. I guess it's been a while, so
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, in
Okay.
that
Well,
in that particular film, just as like the glossiest of glossy, kind of overviews, um, Tom Hiddleston plays a smooth British lord who goes to America to woo
mm,
over Mia Wasikowski's character, who's just like conveniently wealthy, and her father is not super sure about the match, and then he dies, and she gets swept up like, "Oh, I'll take care of you. Let's get married." And he takes her back to his estate, which is totally a Victorian Gothic ruin at its height. And he's got a sister there who runs everything. She doesn't really warm to the new bride, and then um, spoiler alert that Mia Wasikowski's character finds them having a relationship inappropriate of a brother and sister.
hmm. Okay. Okay. I don't remember much of that. I mean, especially that last part. So I'd have
Yeah,
to go back.
yeah. There's also definitely like a waifish quality to her character that I thought was reminiscent of Mia Goth's character in uh, her portrayal
Right.
of Elizabeth in this Frankenstein. She obviously is kind of having like there are inappropriate relationships between her and her soon to be brother-in-law, not necessarily her fault, but that's definitely a choice that Del Toro makes. So
Okay. Well, let's get into it then. Let's get into the movie itself, the
yeah.
movie proper, Frankenstein. Um, you, to start, what's your overall impression? Like, how'd you walk away feeling with this? Like before we break it
Yeah.
down, was it
Yeah.
a yay or a nay?
Yeah, I think honestly, not to I don't know, kind of cheat my way out of answering, but I think your friend said it very well. My expectation was like a 10 or 11 and I kind of came out at like a 7.
Okay.
So it was good, but it wasn't, you know, mind blown. The most amazing thing, Guillermo del Toro, you absolute mad genius. But it was good. It was solid. Um, for somebody with extensive history of the story, the additions are difficult. Um, in the
Mm,
text, Frankenstein does not have little brother William, and we don't
mm,
have Herr Harlander and his character as Elizabeth's uncle. Elizabeth in the novel is Victor's fiance, not obviously therefore he doesn't have a
yeah.
brother, so therefore he can't have a brother's fiance. So yeah, so there were story elements that after watching the film I understand that Del Toro made some choices to make, I think, clearer points about how he sees the characters and how perhaps we should be judging them or the judgment we should make about them. But it was difficult on a first watch to kind of get my mind around these choices.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think in many ways I agree. Or I went in with also high expectations. I saw a headline on someone's video like, "Is this
Mhm.
Guillermo del Toro's magnum opus?" And
Mm.
I'm like, "Oh, wow." Okay.
That's
I, you
really
know,
that's really
it.
strong to put out there. I mean, considering Pan's Labyrinth is pretty much, I think, widely considered already an opus.
Yes. And that's what I think. I think that's his peak. I think that
Yeah.
is this masterpiece. I think it is both like gritty and intense and meaningful, but whimsical and fanciful. It's like it's got the right mix, and the
Yeah.
design and characters and everything of it are like it's a classic to me. This I recently, because we went to Universal,
Mm.
the
Yeah.
Universal Horror Nights, and then we went to the new Epic Universe, and so we had been prepping for that by watching the Universal horror movies, and so I'm pretty
Yeah.
fresh off of the first two Frankenstein films, Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, and so I
Yeah.
really like those stories. I think they do a good job of like creating a sympathetic character, but putting people in situations like, I mean, can you blame the people in this, situation? They have the monster that accidentally drowns a small girl, and like all kinds of, it's you understand people's A to B's and motivations, and
Mhm.
yet can feel sympathy for the monster. Um,
Mhm.
and then yeah, Bride of Frankenstein, I think, kind of takes it up another level, and is the unexpected also, like, okay, create a companion. Well, it doesn't mean she wants anything to do with you either. Like,
Yeah.
so so I enjoyed both of those movies quite a bit. And coming
Mhm.
into this, um, it's a good cast, it's well acted, but I have problems with the movie. I mean, the
Mhm.
structure of the movie is probably my biggest complaint.
In what
I
sense?
wrote in the notes several times, like, really, the whole movie is going to be basically you explain to this poor ship captain what's happened,
Oh,
and then
that's
when
funny.
Frankenstein's monster shows up, then he also does this to this
Yes.
poor captain. I'm like, you're
Yes.
just wow, you know?
That's actually honestly one of the things that I initially enjoyed because it's the most true to Shelley's novel. Because that is
Sure.
what like the beginning. I wrote in my notes like the beginning, besides like the very Hollywoodized like explosion, um, you know, super feats of strength and grenade guns. Minus that, like, that is Shelley's opening, that they're in this like
Sure.
desolate place and the ship is frozen and they come upon this man, Frankenstein, in need of rescue. And, he's like, oh my God, let me tell you about this crazy creature. And I have to tell you my tale because time could be short and, you need to know, the world needs to know what happened. So that initially was enjoyable to me because that was the book. So I didn't have a problem with that, but I understand as like a viewer separately, it stretches credulity that the whole ship
Yeah.
would just be like, sure, listen to this really long, crazy, winding tale.
Yeah. I think it's one of
And then
those
let the
things that you
monster
can
tell
get
his
away
side.
with. Right. I think it's something you can get away with in a novel. There's a lot of
Mhm.
things that I've
You can.
always talked about it with like romance novels. You cannot just straight up adapt a romance novel to a film. It would be ridiculous. But
Yes.
you reading it, not reading it aloud in your mind, like
Yes.
it's different. I don't know what the
Yes.
psychology behind that is exactly, but it's there. And so in film format here, I'm just like, no way. What are we doing
Yes.
here? Like, really, when it transitioned to the monster, that was too far. That was too
Mhm.
far to him telling his story too. So,
Yep.
yeah,
I totally
I,
understand that. I totally understand that hang up. Like I said, coming from the book, it was just like, yeah, that's what they do. So awesome that they decided to do it in the movie too. But yes, coming from a completely different standpoint, I understand how it would be like, what? This monster just attacked all these guys and then they just like leave him alone in the captain's
yeah,
cabin for,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it takes, a little less than an hour, I think, to tell the monster side of it. But in reality, it would take a whole hell of a lot longer.
Right. Yep. Yep. So yeah, that was my biggest issue. Definitely was the sort of structure and the unbelievability of that. Other than that, I also had a problem with. I mean, I don't know how. I'm gonna just list off a few of them from memory before I look at my notes. Other things, and we
Sure.
can get into some more something. So
Hit
one
me.
is the look, like the sets and all that. That's great, love it.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the outside things and
Mm.
whatever shots of like the tower just all feels kind of fake. Wasn't a big fan of
Yes.
that. And
Yes.
then Mia Goth, so her care. Okay, so a couple things. One, her reveal is supposed to be like they make a deal of her reveal, and I don't appreciate that because then she turns around. I'm like, okay, like you look weird.
I see.
Okay,
Just like literally,
her,
yeah.
her particular getup was weird,
Yes.
and it was not like
The
you're supposed
feathers.
to be the
Like the,
effect that
yeah.
yes, yeah, that Dr.
Yeah. I didn't
Frankenstein
love
was
that.
feeling
I
of
did not
clearly
love
like
that.
wow, like
Yeah.
I'm just a, my mouth agape, but
Mm-hmm.
her weird quick attachment to the monster
Mm-hmm.
is odd, and her continual attachment to the monster is odd and
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable to
Mm-hmm.
me. And the monster himself, it's all this stuff like I don't buy. He's not weird enough. Once he learns to
Mm-hmm.
speak and everything, he's not weird enough and awful enough that I can't imagine him living in the woods somewhere by himself and eventually town occasionally and getting a few goods or something and then back out
Mm-hmm.
and being okay to live his life. There'd be all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
there was throughout history people with deformities or whatever issues and they would still get by. Like maybe they would end up being part of a freak show or circus thing or something or whatever, but like they still exist and they're not
Yeah.
continually hunted, you know? There's moments of like in the woods, again, people just see a kind of guy looking person and they just shoot at
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
then they go
That
into
part I found a lot.
yeah, it's like if we had some sort of setup, like there was a beast, a man like beast in the woods that people have been
Mm-hmm.
telling the tale
Preying
of.
on.
And
Yeah.
now now they see him. That's different. Then,
Mhm.
later, those same people, they are just trigger happy to no end because they get into they go back to their house that's full of dead wolves. And again, they just just immediately shoot
Yeah.
at this monster. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
my expectations were high and I had a
Mhm.
lot of little things that really bothered
Mhm.
me throughout,
Yeah.
that kept me from, you know, really thinking this was something great. I couldn't get over some of these things, you
Mhm.
know. And then Frankenstein also shoots what's her name again? Our
Elizabeth?
Yes, Elizabeth. He also shoots her like she's not out of the way. Clearly, she's not out of the way. Like, no, there's so many
Mhm.
things. So Ashley and I were watching it. She liked quite a bit. I was the wet blanket. I'm like, I don't know. I don't see it. You what do you say about some of
Yeah.
those things? Do you have any of those
Yeah.
hangups?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of them are justified for sure because and some of them I think come from the fact that Del Toro changes a big portion of the storyline and therefore he has to come up with different solutions to get to follow the same plot and they don't always make sense. So for instance, like Mia Goth's Elizabeth has an attachment to the monster very quickly. And
Very
if
quick.
you very quickly, but it at first I don't think we as the viewer know that it might be romantic. I think in the very first when she's just simply trying to teach him their very first interaction together, she's like, I'm Elizabeth. Oh yes, my throat makes sounds. She very much treats him, like a
Right.
young child. And in the book, we have a different character. We have an orphan boy who Victor and Elizabeth kind of end up quasi adopting. Because at that point in time they weren't doing like official adopting, but they just sort of like take him in as a ward, and she's got like this very maternal energy, and she spends a lot of time with him and like nurturing him. So it felt like that's where that facet of that character, her energy went. So that's why I think
Mhm.
Del Toro has her like very immediately connect with the monster, because it's like this maternal energy that follows the structure of her character from the book. But then it does turn into this like romantic thing that I didn't quite enjoy. But also it gets convoluted because in the book, she doesn't have Victor's brother as her fiance. She's Victor's fiance. So there's
Right.
again like
Mhm.
more romantic triangle kind of nonsensy things happening here, and more entanglements, more shifts, more possibilities that aren't in the book. The book is very much simplified in its like, approach to the romance. And then again, in the book, we have the creature killing Elizabeth
Right.
because in retaliation for Victor not creating a companion for him. I don't have a companion, you don't have a companion. Well, again, if you're going to create this sort of thing in the movie where that doesn't happen, what are we going to do? We're going to have some awkward, clunky scene where Victor ends up shooting her because she still has to die.
Right.
We still have to have this tragedy. We still have to end
Right.
up with both Victor and the monster alone, just focused on each other so that they can get to
Right.
this like desperate point. So, yeah, so some of these like plot points that we had to really work into don't make as much sense and they're not as clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
like part of it be like, you know, okay, and also from the monster's perspective, sure, he cares about Elizabeth a lot, but it would be more so if she was the only person that had ever shown him compassion. But she's not. She had the old man as the blind
Oh,
man
right. Yeah.
as well, you know. And so it's not like, oh, this is my one, lifeline or whatever
Yeah.
here. He's had realizes there are people in this world that won't just hate him and fear him.
Right.
So, I don't know. That was another thing too. Speaking of the old man,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, you know, that was good, but things were in the original movie. I actually enjoyed this bit quite a bit more. The brevity of time that the monster's given to gets to know the old man, and
Yes.
he is then the first person that really shows him kindness,
Right.
and then that's taken away so quickly
Mm-hmm.
is pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And in this, you're given, I don't know the length of time, but it's another issue I had that I was reminded of then is like he goes from 0 words and
So many words.
Dr. Frankenstein's ready to throw him away because if you can just, you can't even say one more word to, I'm literate. I'm
Yeah.
reading, I just,
Yeah.
and all through the cracks in the wall,
Yeah.
I don't know the time span that's gone on here, but wow, he
Yeah.
is a prodigy.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously in the book you have a lot more time to play with like the learning and the creature following this family and getting to understand them, and then, the similar thing happens where one of the children is learning their letters and words and things, and so the creature does learn to speak in that manner, but it's months and eventually I think even a year or years span of time, so it's quite lengthy
Yeah.
because Victor definitely, like, in the book writes, like, I'm forgetting this horrible episode. I almost believe it wasn't real. The creature wasn't real. I just had a fever
Right.
dream. And,
Okay.
it takes a while for people to kind of let go of those horrors. So yeah, here it feels again a little impossible, but in the book it makes a lot more sense.
Because we're
Um,
given a timeline that is when the monster comes back,
yeah.
Elizabeth and the brother still are yet to be married.
Married, yeah, for sure.
It's like, how
Which
long
is
was this engagement? Like,
right, which is, yeah, quite convenient. Although I believe in the books too, Victor and Elizabeth have quite a long engagement. But again,
okay.
as a viewer, again, I would understand like this is a bit much to kind of stretch all of this. And it again, I think stems from Del Toro's choices because, we have all of these convoluted relationships now that we're introducing new characters. Like you said, Elizabeth is the first person to show the creature kindness rather than the old man. So I think it dilutes a little bit of the father-son dynamic that Shelley goes
Mm,
for quite a bit in her novel, what makes like a good and bad parent. And especially when you contrast like Victor with the old man for father figures for the creature,
mm,
it's a little bit more poignant and direct in the book. Whereas, like you're saying, here we have other people introduced, we have other relationships, we have other opportunities. But I think that Del Toro, from my estimation as a viewer, lets everything unfold the way he does because I think he's making a clearer, he's passing a clearer judgment on Victor. And a
mm.
lot of the things in the book that happen that are a little bit more split between the creature and Victor, he pins on Victor. Like
Okay.
a lot more of the bad stuff. Like his brother dies
Mhm.
because of Victor, you could argue. Like Elizabeth dies because of Victor, both very directly.
Right.
So many more things happen. Like it's just kind of wild to me how, like this movie really paints Victor as a villain.
Yeah.
And it's so much more
Completely
clear than the
unsympathetic.
book.
Absolutely. Yeah. The
Yeah.
original movie too, because he you see him as a man that's trying to achieve something miraculous in the world of science.
Mhm.
And then he does, and things get out of hand. Things get out of hand,
Yeah.
and you know, and people die. He makes like his really Igor or whatever, his assistant makes a mistake and is too mean, fire
Yeah.
puts fire, and then that's it. Like he gets out and things go haywire.
Yeah.
and this creature that's newly born and knows nothing is stumbling around out there and
Hmm.
being scared and shot at or whatever, and then trying to burn him down,
Yeah.
all this stuff. Like, and really, Dr. Frankenstein's role in this is all these other things is kind of gone. It's like, I need to rein in this accidental terror I've unleashed,
Hmm.
you know, but it's not, it's just, yeah, you can't appreciate Dr. Victor Frankenstein in this movie at all for being
Yeah.
a good man. Constantly he's done the wrong thing, tries to steal his brother's bride, you
Yes.
know.
Ugh.
he
Ugh.
he murders his, future
Benefactor.
sister-in-law's. Yep. Yeah, the Bennett. Yep.
And her
Christoph
uncle. Yeah.
Waltz
Yeah.
here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
um
blames it on the creature. Oh God, he stoops so
yep.
low all the time. All the
Blows
time.
up the
Oh.
whole tower, treats
Yeah.
I mean, again, a man of
Abandons
science would.
William. Abandons William early on when their dad dies, and he's just like, "Yeah,
Yep.
peace. Like I can't take care of
Mhm.
you." Which, yes, he's a kid, and yet also he does just kind of like, William's gonna be fine. I gotta go
Yeah.
do my thing.
Yep. It is endless. Like, he has no redemption. He has nothing redeemable really, other than, at the end he's like, "Yes, I'm a pile of shit. Do you
Yes.
forgive me?"
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean,
you
it.
know?
I made a note where I was like, an apology and an acknowledgement, of the wrongs that you've committed go a long way. But yeah, it's a little unbelievable that it gets kind of full absolution. Um,
Yeah.
you know, that within those
Mhm.
final moments, it's a little bit wild because yeah, in this movie, just so much wrong. There's there's
Mhm.
very there's very little sympathy for Victor in this movie. I think we get some early on when we see how his dad treats him, and of course, like the tragic death of his mother. And then I think I was still sympathetic through his father clearly favoring his younger brother because that's horrible. To experience that kind of
Sure.
like clear favoritism that can
Right.
really damage you, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of where it all happens is at the beginning, and then just from then on, woof,
Mhm.
he is very unsympathetic.
Yep. Um, so the way I would see it go, and I would, I couldn't get around, I guess, is that in my mind, like, I forgot what it was. Um, so the Penguin. I remember talking about the Penguin series.
Oh,
Um,
sorry. Okay, I'm
yeah,
following
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. Sorry.
I was like, is there a
The
section of this movie I just missed?
the Penguin series. There is some characters make some choices, like Sophia makes some
Yes.
choices. That I'm like,
Yes.
if you just had walked away, none of
Mhm.
this would have occurred, and that would be the wiser decision. But you didn't,
Yeah.
and I understood why you didn't. In this
Yes.
movie, I had a problem with, in my mind, Frankenstein's monster would be walking away. Like, okay,
Mm.
so you find out. I just didn't agree with the idea of, okay, you bother going and you find out what you are. Now you're gonna go and confront Victor
Mm.
and demand a companion. I just didn't
Sure.
buy that route. I'm like, oh, it would be like, okay, wow, I know what I am now.
Mhm.
Clearly that guy's not going to help me. And
Yeah.
would I want someone to bring another me that's, I feel
Mm.
so pained and, whatever, into existence. And so
Sure.
that's my go live in the woods. Cuz immediately this newly formed person from different cadavers, Mia Goth is okay going up and like stroking his abs. Other people are going to be okay with you existing when you have like reasonable clothes and kind of
Ooh.
take care of yourself. I just don't buy I am he needed to be way uglier, way
Sure,
more,
sure.
drooling from the mouth all the time and like whatever,
Sure.
less literate, more
Sure.
monstrous.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think Yeah, I'm with you, and some of it I didn't, kind of think of when I was watching. Like, um, I think this movie really gave short shrift to the monster's time by himself. And so that feeling of isolation, of almost madness of isolation and being, hunted by the townspeople and stuff like that. This movie glosses over all of that like persecution, all of that aloneness, all of that, you
Right.
know, I really understand that no one in this world is for me
Right.
and will
That was not
accept me.
present in this movie.
Exactly. So that's the problem then when going to ask for a companion. Of course, in the book, it makes sense because he does feel alone. He does feel
Mhm.
like no one will accept him. No one has accepted him except a blind old man.
Yeah.
And, the creature obviously feels like, I don't know, I still think if he could see me, I'm not really sure. So that's missing from this ask, which the ask is part of a big plot point of Frankenstein. So you can't just ignore it because it drives so much of the action and it drives so much of the friction. So that's a major problem with this film. There's no setup, there's no reason. Like you say, like
Mhm.
I don't believe that he would want someone like him, and also he could be accepted by people.
Right.
Now, I mean, I personally, having been in some of, like, the more realistic side of the Victorian era, beauty was such a big deal, and disfigurement and, oddly shaped bodies were a source of fascination, but definitely not an acceptance in society. So I do feel like maybe it would be a little stretchy for him to live amongst society, live solo out in the woods, and, like you said, maybe cover up and sort of like fake his way through some stuff and some minimal interaction. Um, but I mean, I even have in some of my other notes, like when, um, in the beginning, when Victor is like getting answers wrong, and his dad, who I can only think of as Tywin Lannister, um, he's like, no, you're not a child anymore. I'm going to whip your face because I can't whip
Mhm.
your hands because they're a doctor's tools. And I was like, you can't whip his face? Like, no Victorian, gentlewoman or gentleman will go to a scarred doctor. They value beauty and, perfect appearance so highly that this would never fly if you scarred him accidentally. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, I'm a little less, bothered by those kind of choices, because I do feel that he's monstrous enough to not just walk amongst society, but he isn't monstrous enough, like you said, that he couldn't live alone.
Yeah, well, and
So
wouldn't you
take
say that
take
that's
or leave that. That's
more
kind
the
of
benefit of kind of culture of high society for the time? You look
right,
like the common man, the peasants, the every, like, do they have the
right.
luxury of like, well, look, we all have wooden teeth here. We get to bathe
Yeah,
like once every
well,
3
right,
weeks.
yeah.
And like, you
They
know,
didn't quite go that far, but I mean, there was again a lot of like popular culture of institutionalization and throwing like just people who didn't look right into like
right.
workhouses,
Yeah.
into institutions, into prisons. So yes, on the one hand, like you say, he could have done some clever, cloaking of his body and kind of figured it out for the few times he had to go into a town or something. But yeah, I think there is a little bit more present danger than this movie conveys of, interacting with regular folks and then, them just being like, oh God, I caught a glimpse of something that's not right. Go investigate,
Yeah.
go lock him up, go. And again, that's more present in the books.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and I don't think this movie, I don't think any of them like should be able to survive on the assumed knowledge of like, hey, there's way more context here in
Right? Like
other
so much of
forms,
what I'm
like
spouting is like, I studied this stuff. I read this like, multiple times. I wrote papers on Shelley and relationships and a lot of like her writing. So, you know, I have the benefit of a lot of that background knowledge that's just kind of ingrained in. And you can't assume that
Mhm.
of the general viewer
Yep.
for this story.
And the, like the movies, the original movies, like the simplicity the stories are way more simple, but then everybody's motivations are clear, and it'll make
Yes.
sense. So
Yes. Yep.
when you try to change this all around, yeah, you better make sure we believe why that's happening.
Yeah, I agree.
Ugh.
I agree. This whole story followed the beats of Frankenstein, but the detail and the character motivations were much more muddied, and I don't think
Mm,
that Del Toro did well by introducing these complications. I think he fell short of making them believable and making them logical for the viewer
yep,
and for the characters
yep.
themselves, honestly.
I wrote in here, like, you know took a long time for the wedding occur, and she's still pining over the monster. Like, what? Okay, that's still a thing. And then,
Yeah.
also Victor Frankenstein, like, he is then found by his creation, which is incredible that he was able to achieve this scientific feat. Unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
realistically unbelievable, but also in this world,
Yeah.
unbelievable, incredible. And he
Yeah.
comes back and he finds him, and he's literate in this way, and like asking him of things, and he's not just dumbfounded and shocked. Like, I succeeded, I really did do it, like, this is
Mhm.
incredible, you're incredible, I can't, none of that. Just like, nope,
Yeah.
want nothing to do with you.
Disdain.
Yeah, yeah,
Disdain.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
that was a crazy response to me. And then when he gets the gun from like the cabinet, it's just sitting there loaded too. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That
Convenient, is it
maybe
not?
I I couldn't. Yeah. Okay. I've complained a lot or whatever. Are there if you have more complaints, go for it. But what are the
Sure.
positives? Other positives. We talked about some of the looks and world building and stuff. Cast.
Mhm. Yeah. I do, I mean, I love, obviously, the world of it. It's Del Toro is someone who can create beautiful worlds, and they're so finely detailed. Like, I loved all of the stages of Victor's scientific creation of the monster. Like, all of the different, like, evolutions of his reanimated corpses into finally
Yeah.
achieving was gorgeous.
Yep.
And as far as they could get to it in the science, they did the best that they could with a wildly unbelievable concept. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yep.
the Shelley initially just proposes something absolutely wild and doesn't really talk about the mechanics of it, because that's not her interest. Her interest
Right.
is, should you be doing these things? These are moral questions, like, what's the balance between life and death and who is responsible? And then, she has very complex explorations of parenting as creation, and what are you responsible for, and how do you act, and what happens when you're the one thing I think this movie does well is get some really great quotes about Victor and his, like, thought process. And I loved um his own words, like, I never considered what would come after creation. That's like the whole premise of Shelley's book,
Hmm.
is like, you have to, you fool. The goal isn't creation. The goal is, like, what are you going to do with it that's positive and useful? And,
Right.
so I think that movie does this well, is provide some, like, very great snapshots of the ethical and philosophical questions that this story wrestles with, but it just falls short in really exploring them in believable ways, because Del Toro muddies the characters and their motivations. So,
Yeah. How can you
yeah.
possibly, you can't have Victor represent a reasonable perspective when he's so damnable,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. So I think this movie did a good job of, making me kind of reconsider relationships and come to things from different points of view. Um this movie is so focused in the beginning about Victor's positive relationship with his mother and his terrible relationship with his father, that, you know, later on I was sort of thinking about like, oh God, it's so sad that Victor's whole impetus for doing this is his mother. And, you know, the tragedy of her death and like the, you know, the bereavement
Right.
and loss that he felt of this light in his life, that he wanted to recapture that. And yet when it comes to actually being a parent, he's his dad and not his mom.
Right. Right.
Like he's so much of that like negative influence. And then he passes that on to, you know, his son, as it were.
Yeah.
So that was something I grappled with in this movie, like the way that we kind of, and the creature too, ultimately, well, not ultimately because there's forgiveness at the end, but for a while, you know, he has this positive influence in the old man. And yet when it comes down to it, he takes after like these terrible impulses of his worst, you know, father figure in Victor.
Right.
So it's a real kind of wake up call as a parent to really think about, you know, these negative experiences and how much they can impact impressionable minds, and how careful you have to be with that.
Well, that's all true. I agree with that. Some good. I think what I liked most was the backstory. The him as a child.
Victor's?
That
Yeah. Sure.
that whole thing was the peak of the film. I think that with Charles Dance in there as his dad, that's
Tywin.
great. Yeah, Tywin Lannister.
He really is just like a different version of Tywin in this.
Yeah, he's
like, right?
He's a father figure. I mean, I like the look of it. You know, the manner. I like the. I love the caskets. The caskets.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, that's a badass casket.
Gorgeous.
You know,
gorgeous.
This
and
is
creepy.
like showing the Victorian element, and it was grounded,
love the costuming
and
for the most
the performance
part.
were there. So I thought that was great, getting to see, you know, his upbringing and what shaped him. And then yes, the way that they like pose the bodies that he was testing on, and the way they did that, you know, when he's like plugging in the power and it comes alive, and the way he there's the detail they show in like putting them together and cutting the pieces, that stuff was all really well done. And like that was really,
and one of the few moments of comedy when he's, you know, got this like beautiful classical music underscoring him just like hacking away at pieces.
Yeah.
You know, when he's finally ready to actually create, you know, his final monster. Yeah, that was one of the few light moments of this movie.
Yep. So, but that's kind of where a lot of my praise ends. You know, I talk about the cast and some of the sets, and you know, and then that backstory, and
I think the only reason that I didn't dislike Victor more is, and I disliked him quite a bit, but the only reason I didn't dislike him absolutely, I think, was Oscar Isaac's performance and just his conviction and like the total embodiment he felt, and just the way he carried it all with like such extreme confidence of like, I am in the right, I am doing a thing, this is going to be amazing. He just 100% committed to everything. And for a while there, it really carried the performance. And then as his like poor choices built up, I kind of became more and more removed from him, and really enjoying the movie as a whole. But for a while, he carried it well. So I mean, praise to him on his performance. For being a totally new character, Christoph Waltz is excellent as usual. And his beyond his kind of like weird quirk with like the photography, which was meant to convey, you know, I like, to spend my sexual time with women, and then therefore that's how I got syphilis, and therefore that's what's driving my interest in reanimation. I liked the rest of that. I didn't really enjoy the whole like odd photography and why are you eating the peach? It represents life thing. But I suppose, they had to introduce some way of us understanding how he contracted syphilis. So yeah. Other than that, I really enjoyed his performance. Mia Goth and I apologize, I don't know the name of William, the brother. They were fine, if not as central to the movie. And then Jacob Elordi did better than I expected as the creature. Truly, like,
Yeah.
what was it? The most electrifying performance I've ever seen? No, but was it really good and better than I expected? Yeah. So, I mean, great job.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have any problem with that as far as like the role he was given and, executing that. So
I find it interesting now to think that Andrew Garfield, I think, was the first choice for that. I'm
that would be
pretty
weird.
sure.
Okay. Yeah,
right?
that would be,
like I can't see it now, but I'm fairly certain that that was a thing.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I can see the performance, I guess, but they had to make him look a lot taller or something,
Yeah. Yeah, he had to drop out because of scheduling conflicts. But yeah, he was cast.
Huh. Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I wonder if this will be a big role for Elordi or what, it's something very different for him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it was a good one. I think it was a good stretch for him. If anybody's kind of coming out of this vehicle winning, or on the positive side, I definitely think both Isaacs and Elordi did a great job.
I mean, people seemed, I don't know how it did viewership wise, but people seemed to like it, that seemed to be the consensus. So, I feel like the odd man out, but yeah, I don't know. I feel, I feel better.
Yeah.
I got all my grievances out there.
Yeah, it's doing like 7.5 out of 10, 80% Rotten Tomatoes. So it's like a B feature.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to, C+, B- kind of area.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I usually do a 5 scale, so it'd be like a 3 out of 5. Sure.
Yeah. Nothing more than that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, really strong elements that I just don't think all came together to tell the story. It's certainly a unique take because of his choices, but I don't think that they all worked.
Ashley brought up, do you think Guillermo del Toro sees himself as the monster in all these movies, all his movies? He's got, he's always got, like you say, maybe a same type of woman falling for a monster. I don't know. It like what they're clearly a theme. We have that in we have in Hellboy, we have The Shape of Water, we have we have this, we have
Crimson Peak
I don't
to
remember.
an extent.
Okay. And then I don't remember about Pan's Labyrinth. I don't think, because it deals with a child, so I think it's more of a like fascination than anything else. So
I think it's like a general kind of innocence to, but it often, I think it's often portrayed as romantic, but I think there is like an innocence, like, can innocence redeem evil, or, that kind of like innocent woman and like redeeming love.
It's just such a Beauty and the Beast thing all the time.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to his fascination with this that plays out over various different yet similar stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sees himself in these stories because he's clearly got, it's clearly not resolved to his mind where he can let this kind of like story arc go because he's not making
Right.
something wildly different.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Okay. Well, let's Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein on Netflix 2025. Let us know in the comments what you think of it. You can do that on YouTube or on X. We're also on Twitch and podcast directories. So any of those places you can follow us and like, share, subscribe. The video version is available on Spotify. And if you're interested in anime content, you can subscribe to the Ohio Anime channel. That's what we'll be back with next week. We got a bunch of new subscribers over there, so you can be one of them if you'd like. We'll be talking about the continuing episodes of, I forget his name right now, but the Kamen Rider show.
Oh, Tojima.
Tojima wants to be a Kamen Rider. So we'll be
Yes.
talking about that next. So if you're watching that show, or if you're not, start. Then you can follow along. But anyways, thank you for watching. We got Killing the Flower. You should check them out. They're on music streaming services. Mike, TrackMouse34. You can follow him. Maybe you can get his thoughts on F1 someday. See what he thinks there. But and then Peter J. Gilbertson, his books are on Amazon. You should check them out. He's got other horror related things. If you like Frankenstein, it's a good chance you're gonna like some of his things. So yeah.
Very true.
But that'll do it from us. Andrea, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.
Of course, as always. Cheers, everybody.